Yes, you can overcome your anxiety. Hello, may I introduce myself? I'm Ian Bracegirdle. My main job is to help people overcome blocks to making progress in their lives using my experience and NLP skills. Today we're going to talk about anxieties. Many people, believe it or not, up to 18% by some estimates of US population suffer from anxiety concerns. It's estimated in the UK that around about 14% do the same and 10% and more in other countries. So what are anxieties? If you're an anxiety sufferer, you may have wondered, why do I feel like this? Why am I like this all the time? What makes me feel anxious? And most important, how can I change how I feel? Just watch and listen for a few minutes and I'll lead you to a better understanding of what you're experiencing. And remember, you are not alone. I know it can feel like that sometimes, but really there are many more people like you in the world. Like you, they have suffered in various ways. They've been ignored, ridiculed, laughed at, been made fun of, bullied, hurt in many ways, and felt rejected by people who should know better. You are not alone. Just because non-sufferers do not understand, just because they have no idea that what you feel and experience is real for you, it does not mean that you cannot get help. There is help available. Some of you will have been puzzled by the way the world seems to you at times. You may have been scared of having a heart attack when you're having a panic attack. You could have stood red-faced as everyone around you enjoyed themselves. You may have crumbled when asked to give a presentation in front of your colleagues or others. You may be so annoyed at yourself for having to check the lights are out 15 times before you can leave home. Maybe you've been sat at home for years, waiting for a chance to go out of the door, feeling safe. Now, the amazing thing is that once you begin to understand what is going on, then you can learn how to change your life. It may take time, but it can be done, and there's more than one way to do it. So anxieties, where do they come from? What causes them? Put it its simplest, anxieties come from our brains running out-of-date programs or habits, if you want to call them that do not fit in with the world we're living in now. Imagine this one. A young mother is walking along Blackpool Promenade. For those of you who don't know, Blackpool's a very popular holiday resort in England. It's a sunny day. Hundreds of people are walking along. A happy summer holiday scene. The woman is holding the hands of her two daughters, aged 5 and 3. Coming towards her, she sees a man with a camera and a large python around his neck. She lets go of the hands of the girls and in absolute terror flees. The passers-by see to the two girls and take them aside safely. So what have we just witnessed? What happened? Why would this loving mother abandon her two daughters in the middle of that crowd of hundreds, maybe thousands of people? What is going on in her mind that makes her become so overcome by the fear of the snake that the only thing she can do is run in the opposite direction, abandoning her daughters to the good nature of the people around her? What happened in that woman's mind? Why had she operated in that irrational way and abandoned her daughters? Simply, she had an overwhelming fear of snakes, a phobia of snakes that was so deeply embedded in her subconscious mind that she didn't have any control over the reaction. And seeing the snake, all she could do was react in that way because the fear overwhelmed her. And the only thing that came to her mind was her safety and her fear, and she had to get out as fast as possible. Let me start from my experience. Some of you may or may not recognize these symptoms, but this is what happened to me, and some of the things that have happened to me. I would always blush very easily. I remember being spoken to by an attractive female student teacher when I was about 10 or 11 at school. I fainted when I cut myself. I always felt uncomfortable when I had to go to family gatherings. I blushed very easily in any situation. At exam time, I would develop swollen glands. As I got older, alcohol always helped in social situations. As a young teacher, I developed pains in my chest. I thought it was a heart problem. The doctor told me it was intercostal angina. In other words, a strain between the ribs. I developed a discomfort and tingles in my left arm and lips. Again, the doctor could find no real reason. This I now associated with the recurring discomfort in my chest. Sometime later, I developed small lesions on my hands that spread miraculously to my feet. The doctor had no real explanation. One morning, I woke up very early with heart palpitations and a pain in my chest. The emergency department at the hospital could find no real problem. I'd had pains in my abdomen on and off for years. They were unspecific and moved about. After several years, I put these facts together and concluded it was some form of anxiety. The thing is, no one identified it except me when I had some experience of helping other people with forms of anxiety. For some people, this is a silly question. You know very well what your anxiety is. Me, I had no idea that I suffered from anxieties. It was just the way I was. Then I began to use therapy to help people make changes in their lives. I dealt with my blood phobia in training. However, other experiences made me realize I had some deep-seated anxieties too. I began to study and learn how to help myself and other people who asked for help. I learned all types of anxieties. As I worked with people, I began to find common elements between them. Some findings. Anxiety is a state of mind and body where you think unpleasant thoughts. The thinking makes your body feel uncomfortable. Most anxiety states stem from learned behavior. This may come from one or more incidents or by watching an older person express anxiety in some form. Often anxieties stem from childhood. Some anxieties feel threatening, even life-threatening. An anxiety state is not harmful. Those feelings during a panic attack can be very strong, but they are not life-threatening. However, long-term experience of heightened anxiety can lead to other problems. When the thinking process causing anxiety changes, the anxiety is lowered and can even disappear. Most anxieties operate from the subconscious and need to be changed there. Therapy at the conscious level does work, but it takes longer. Some anxieties only happen in certain places, such as performance anxiety. Anxiety triggers our primitive flight-fight response. Now, please remember, you can overcome your anxiety. It takes time, and it usually takes help. This is the first of a series of videos that will help you to understand anxiety and discover ways to overcome them. Thank you for watching and listening.